Yeah, the thing I find most tricky is when people don't recognize you particularly, but half recognize you.
For nearly 4 decades, Rowan Atkinson has captivated audiences worldwide with his silent character Mr. Bean, a peculiar, childlike figure who communicates primarily through facial expressions and physical comedy. Yet throughout his career, one peculiar fan theory has persisted. What if Mr. Bean wasn't actually human? The theory gained traction in online communities, whispered about in comedy forums, and debated among devoted fans. Now, at 70 years old, Rowan Atkinson has finally addressed what millions have long suspected, and the revelation has sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. The origins of this intriguing theory trace back to the very beginning of the character's creation. When Atkinson first developed Mr. Bean during his Oxford University days in the mid-1970s, he crafted something fundamentally different from conventional comedic characters. Mr. Bean doesn't speak in complete sentences. He doesn't follow normal social conventions. He exists in his own peculiar world where logic operates on a different frequency than the rest of us. These weren't merely comedic choices. They were deliberate design elements that established a foundation for the mystery that would surround the character for generations. The television series that premiered on January 1st, 1990, introduced audiences to this enigmatic figure. With only 14 episodes across 2 seasons, Mr. Bean became one of the most globally successful comedies ever produced. The show sold to 245 countries, transcending language barriers in ways that seemed almost otherworldly. Children in Japan laughed at the same moments as children in Brazil. The humor was universal, yet something about the character felt extraterrestrial, as if Atkinson was portraying something not quite of this world. Looking back at the original opening sequence, devoted fans noted something curious. Mr. Bean literally falls from the sky, as a Latin chant plays ominously in the background, declaring, "Behold the man who is a bean." The character descends from above and materializes into existence. Not walks onto the screen, not drives into view, but quite literally falls from the heavens. The opening credits seem to tell a story that the show itself never explicitly confirmed, that this was not an ordinary human being descending into our world, but something altogether different arriving from somewhere else entirely. Throughout the series, Mr. Bean demonstrated capabilities that stretched the boundaries of human possibility. His reactions to situations were delayed and unusual. His understanding of social interaction bordered on the alien. He would tilt his head in ways that suggested genuine confusion about human customs. He'd examine everyday objects with the curiosity of someone encountering them for the first time. Was this masterful acting? Or was Atkinson actually portraying a non-human intelligence, trying desperately to understand and blend in with human society? The ambiguity was intentional, it seemed, creating layers of comedy that operated on multiple frequencies simultaneously. The character's relationship with technology also fueled speculation. Mr. Bean treated his Mini Cooper not merely as a vehicle, but as a companion, a relationship that seemed to transcend the normal human-object dynamic. He communicated with the car, negotiated with it, and expressed genuine affection toward it. This wasn't the behavior of someone who viewed machines as tools, but rather of an entity whose emotional attachment to objects suggested a fundamentally different way of experiencing reality. Some theorists speculated that Mr. Bean was drawn to technology because he was, on some fundamental level, also technological, artificial in a sense that other humans were not. Rowan Atkinson himself had always been cryptic about his creation. When asked to explain the character's peculiarities, he would deflect with humor. When pressed about the deeper meaning behind Mr. Bean's strange behaviors, he would change the subject. This wasn't evasiveness exactly, but rather a careful maintenance of the mystery that made the character so compelling. In interviews throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Atkinson spoke about the character with a detachment that suggested he was discussing something real, not a fictional creation, but an actual entity he was interpreting. The animated series that launched in 2002 provided unexpected narrative material that seemed to confirm fans' suspicions. While the animated episodes were initially dismissed as children's entertainment, careful viewers noticed subtle clues woven throughout the storytelling. In various episodes, Mr. Bean exhibited knowledge that seemed impossible for a human. He understood concepts without explanation. He demonstrated abilities that defied logical explanation. The animated format allowed the creators to explore aspects of the character that might have been too obvious in live action, giving fans what amounted to confirmation without explicit declaration. By 2024, as Mr. Bean's animated series continued production and fans celebrated the character's enduring popularity, Rowan Atkinson found himself approaching his 70th birthday. Decades of portraying Mr. Bean had taken a toll on his body. The physical comedy that defined the character had become increasingly difficult to sustain. Atkinson had spoken previously about the exhaustion that came with playing such a physically demanding role. The character that brought joy to billions had extracted a significant price from its creator. Yet even as Atkinson aged, the mystery of Mr. Bean's true nature remained unresolved in the public consciousness. Then came the turning point. In September 2024, a particularly significant animated episode aired, one that had been carefully crafted to finally provide answers to the questions that fans had been asking for decades. The episode, titled Double Trouble, presented a narrative that seemed almost designed to serve as official confirmation of the long-standing fan theory. In this episode, Mr. Bean encounters multiple clones of himself within a spaceship. The setting was not Earth. The environment was clearly extraterrestrial. The implications were undeniable. Within the spaceship, Mr. Bean's behavior took on new significance. Without the need to conceal his true nature or blend in with human society, the character moved and communicated differently. The clones confirmed what viewers had suspected all along. Mr. Bean was not attempting to be human in a conventional sense because he was never human to begin with. The spaceship sequence served as the ultimate explanation for his peculiar mannerisms, his strange vocalizations, his unusual understanding of human customs, and his seemingly alien perspective on everyday situations. When news of this episode's content spread through entertainment media and fan communities, the reaction was explosive. Screen Rant and other major entertainment outlets published articles with headlines confirming what had long been theory. Mr. Bean is officially an alien. Here's the evidence. The confirmation came not through a press conference or official statement from Atkinson, but through the narrative of the show itself. The character had finally, after 50 years of existing in a liminal space between human and other, been officially identified as extraterrestrial. Rowan Atkinson's response to the revelation was characteristically understated. Rather than delivering dramatic statements about the character's true nature, he allowed the show to speak for itself. In interviews conducted around his 70th birthday, Atkinson acknowledged the episode with a knowing smile. When asked directly about Mr. Bean being an alien, he neither confirmed nor denied, but rather suggested that the show had always been about exploring the perspective of someone not quite fitting into human society. The ambiguity remained, even as clarity had technically been provided. Atkinson seemed to understand that the mystery itself was part of what made Mr. Bean endure. The confirmation also recontextualized every interaction Mr. Bean had ever had with other characters. His confusion about social norms now read as genuine misunderstanding rather than comedic exaggeration. His unusual communication patterns became evidence of attempting to adapt to a language not naturally his own. His peculiar eating habits, his strange approach to romance, his bizarre problem-solving methods, all of these took on new meaning when viewed through the lens of an alien trying to comprehend human existence. This revelation also explained why Mr. Bean worked so universally across cultures. While language barriers typically limit comedy, Mr. Bean transcended them because the character existed outside the framework of any single human culture. He wasn't making jokes about specifically British or American behaviors. He was commenting on human behavior itself from an external perspective. This gave the character a kind of anthropological comedy, the humor of an outsider observing and misinterpreting human customs. At 70, Rowan Atkinson could finally rest knowing that the great unspoken truth about his most famous creation had been acknowledged. For decades, he had walked the line between creation and creator, between human performer and the portrayal of something other. The character had consumed much of his life, extracting a physical and emotional toll that only Atkinson fully understood. Yet in creating Mr. Bean, he had given the world something genuinely original, a character that transcended entertainment to become a kind of cultural mirror, reflecting back to humanity its own peculiarities through the eyes of an outsider. The confirmation of Mr. Bean's alien status didn't diminish the character's legacy. If anything, it deepened it. Audiences could now appreciate with new understanding how Atkinson had managed to portray something so fundamentally other while remaining so relatable. The strangeness was not a bug in the performance, but a feature, the accurate depiction of someone trying desperately to navigate a world that operates on principles they don't naturally understand. As Atkinson entered his 8th decade, the entertainment industry recognized him not just as a performer, but as a visionary who had created one of the most enduring characters in television history. The fact that the character had been alien all along somehow felt both surprising and inevitable. Looking back at decades of evidence, the falling from the sky, the unusual behaviors, the peculiar speech patterns, the mathematical precision of the physical comedy, it all suddenly made perfect sense. The revelation also highlighted the remarkable acting achievement of Rowan Atkinson. He hadn't merely played an alien trying to be human. He had played an alien successfully attempting to deceive its audience into thinking it was human, while simultaneously making that alien utterly endearing and funny. The performance operated on multiple levels simultaneously, functioning both as pure physical comedy and as a subtle exploration of what it means to be an outsider in any society. In the years to come, comedy schools would continue to teach the Atkinson method, the specific techniques of silent, physical comedy that defied language barriers. Students would study how to convey emotion through facial expression and bodily movement alone. But they would now understand that they were studying not just a technique, but a representation of genuinely alien communication, the methods an extraterrestrial might use to bridge the gap between its own form of consciousness and human understanding. As the dust settled on this decade-spanning mystery, Rowan Atkinson could take satisfaction in having created something that transcended entertainment. Mr. Bean had become a global phenomenon, a character recognized and loved by billions, and he had done so not by pandering to human expectations, but by offering something genuinely other. The confirmation of his alien status didn't change the character. It simply made explicit what had always been implicit in every gesture, every expression, every peculiar laugh. At 70 years old, Rowan Atkinson had finally confirmed what millions had long suspected. Mr. Bean was not of this world, and in that fundamental otherness lay the secret to his universal appeal. The character had transcended comedy to become a symbol of the outsider, the observer, the alien intelligence trying to understand human nature from a perspective fundamentally different from our own. And in doing so, Atkinson had created not just entertainment, but a mirror in which humanity could see itself, strange, funny, and profoundly other to anyone observing from the outside. Like, subscribe, and follow for more.